Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Sabourin, and I will be doing a presentation today for KOTESOL on cinema and superheroes in the TESOL classroom. This is my first presentation. I graduated from Woosong University, the TESOL-MALL program, and I was encouraged to do this by Dr. Kent and Dr. Love, who have been very good, like mentors to me. They've been very, very nice, very helpful, and I've learned a lot from them. Today, because of the COVID-19 situation, we are all presenting on, on video. And I'm using a product that I've found to be quite useful. The name of the product is Screencastify. I have used it at my Woosong College, in my Woosong College LMS classes, and it has been very, very useful. As you can see here, you can bring up the PowerPoint through Google Drive, and there's also tools like a pencil, and I can put my picture here. That's kind of nice, you know, losing my hair and everything, but anyway, it's nice to meet everyone. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. It's not too long, it's maybe about 30 minutes, and it's just about something I've used with my students that I found to be useful and to be interesting and to be quite frank, to be quite fun to work with. So first we'll go to the question, why cinema and superheroes? And I have a couple quotes here from TESOL scholars or TESOL books written by educational specialists. Why cinema and superheroes? Well, they're both topics that are interesting and relevant to English language learners. They're current. As you've seen, there are many superhero movies. So they both kind of cross together. You have superheroes and movies. And the movies are always in English. So the fact that they're in English helps greatly. And superheroes generally, most 99.9% of the creations are either, well, I'm going to say American. When you think of Marvel and DC Comics, they are both American inventions. They are fresh topics for those who've been learning English. Too long and have found other content boring. Movies. The topic is probably more useful for the slightly advanced learner. I've used this lesson with lower level learners, but I find that it tends to be more useful with intermediate and advanced learners. But you can use it with lower level learners. They are topics that often appeal to an adolescent audience. Yes. And as I will mention later on, I've used these in the Russian and Kazakh, which are adolescent audiences. Many times they're 18 and 19 years old, but many times they're 14 and 15 years old. So with that wide range, it seems that superheroes and the making of movies is kind of an interesting topic for that group. Also, students that begin at Woosong College tend to be um, 19 years old, and while they're becoming adults, they're coming out of adolescence. Superheroes are iconic and embody qualities admired by most people. Yes, this is true. Um, we all love Superman. Well, we don't all love Superman, but most people love Superman. Um, he's a good person. Of course, he'll have some flaws. That's true. He has his flaws like every other human. And as we talk about later, Batman especially. But they generally are out to do good against evil in society. When I begin the lesson on cinema, and we'll start with cinema first, cinema lesson, you can begin the class with a simple question. And it's this question: what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite movie? I generally will give the students a pen, a marker, and have them write their favorite movie on the whiteboard. I can do it myself, but I find that I like to get the students up and around. I think that's moving around, I think, is a good thing for students. To just be sitting in their seat is probably not the best thing in the world all day. And then after they sit down, read off, or better yet, have the students read off their titles, okay? You know, Iron Man and Twilight and um, popular movies. Wonder Woman. A lot of them are superhero movies that they like. Notting Hill, The Conjuring, these type of movies. The Nun is kind of a terrifying, somewhat terrifying movie. Have them read off their favorite movie titles. Um, then we can talk about what kind of movie it is. What kind of movie is your favorite movie, right? This is where we get to the concept of genre. And this can be also a useful thing to cover in music, different genres of music. Kind of groupings of what type of movie they are. Often I will scaffold something by putting the adjectives funny, scary, exciting, and I might even set it up like what is a blank movie is a blank movie. A comedy is a funny movie. A horror movie is a scary movie. Okay? A Western movie is a cowboy movie, something like that. And I might, I try to elicit from the students. I find that trying to elicit from the students is better because they're answering their own questions and they're more involved in the class. Have the students, they have the titles of their movies. So we'll take the movies titles and put them in the respective genres. And at this time, we can bring up the concept of cross-genre. Cross-genre. The romantic comedy, the action adventure, fantasy horror. How some movies, maybe Twilight, you have horror, you have fantasy, you have kind of a romance, can fit into many genres. Okay? So that gets kind of interesting. There's also another tool I use. This is about a 5-minute video, YouTube video. Of course, there are many YouTube videos to choose from. And Um, let's see, let's see. This is a YouTube video of, I don't know, should I make this bigger? Oh. There we go. This is a short video called Genres of Film with Examples. It explains here about a genre, and it has various examples. For example, you have this picture from Breakfast at Tiffany's for a romantic movie. I believe they have The Good, Bad, and the Ugly as a Western. Singing in the Rain, which is a little old and dated, as a musical. If anybody finds another website that's better, or a selection on YouTube that is better, please contact me. This one runs about between 5 and 6 minutes. It's short. It keeps them involved, short little action clips or exciting clips from movies. So then after that, we want to begin the scene. Starting the scene, yes. And as you see here, we have the setting. And of course, this is a professional scene. It's got Eggman, Sonic. It's got the two characters' names. So I might show them an actual, something like this, a scene from a movie, get them started so they get an idea on what they want to think about, what they want to do before they start the actual script. Okay? Okay. Okay. Put this here. I tend to use a scaffold diagram to scaffold the diagram on the whiteboard, and I'll put something like AB, or ABC, ABC, because generally when we start this project, it will be in groups of 2 or 3, depending on the size of the class, and I might find how the groups are interested. If they're interested in science fiction, if they're interested in romance, you might let them decide on what type of grouping they want. Often I'll have friends go ahead and do this together. Put students in groups of 2 or 3. Explain them that they're going to write a 5 to 10 line scene. Don't begin with a scene that's too large. I found that if you begin with a scene that's too large, it's a bit intimidating for them. To make it more challenging, write some phrases on the board that are common that you might hear a lot in movies, okay? Now, there are 2 ways to do this. You can go ahead and write these phrases on the board, or you can ask the students, think of a movie you liked and something that was said in a movie, or think of something you hear many times in movies, okay? And often you get something like, help, I love you, it's alive, he or she's the suspect. If they pick too many of the same phrases, like if they pick too many that it's an alien, it's alive, if they pick too many from horror, I like to mix it up with things like I love you, and please don't leave, and don't shoot. just to mix up their dialogue, just to give their dialogue some different phrases. Also, I also do it to maybe force them to stick something in like, I love you, but don't shoot. Maybe they want to make it a romantic thriller or something, a romantic detective movie, detective scene or something. And this can be very interesting because I will ask them to pick 2 or 3 of these phrases to stick in their script. Closely monitor the students as they write, and then let the students perform their scene. I'm surprised how well this works. Monitor them as, closely monitor them, but kind of don't hover around them too long. I've found that students like to perform. And the shyer students, the more introverted students, will perform sometimes surprisingly well because they're in a group, especially if it's a group of 2 or 3. And generally within the classroom, they're the same level or relatively close in English speaking terms. And students tend to like to perform their scene. I've been quite surprised how eager they are to perform their scene. Okay, and that's what we do with cinema. Now, creating your own superhero. This is a very interesting and very contemporary thing for students to do. I met very few students that don't like superheroes. And there's so many different superheroes now that most students can, how can I say this, relate to some character. You have the Hulk. Here you have Marvel superheroes. You have all these different groups, like Panther. You have an increasingly diverse group of women now. The races are represented more diversely. Still not as diverse as it should be. Much more diverse than, say, when I was a child. But it's coming around, sort of like society itself. Okay. So to begin, I will talk about superheroes, and then I will say, I will show a picture of various types of superheroes, and I will have certain superheroes, their descriptions, picture with the description, and I will tend to hand it to each student, and I will let them pick up their description and read their description, okay? And it generally has a short description. These descriptions I think I got from Encyclopedia Britannica online. And these pictures are just stock pictures. But I usually try to pick from a group of popular superheroes that people maybe already know. And of course, a common one is Batman. What's interesting about Batman, actually something that I find that's interesting now, currently with Batman, is you don't hear much about him. And I don't know if that's something to do with the current situation with bats and kind of the bad publicity that bats have right now. But he is not, I have not seen as much about Batman lately as we used to. But that could be something I'm imagining. I don't know. But Batman is still a very popular superhero. Batman is from, Gotham City, and the secret identity is Bruce Wayne. Of course, we all know that. And one of the interesting things that always fascinated me about Batman was he doesn't really have a superhero power. I'm sorry. He doesn't have a superpower. He is physically fit, but he's basically wealthy. He's basically a rich guy. His superpower is a lot of money, cash, power, and he owns a company. And he has access to a lot of technology. Next. It's kind of nice. You can move this picture on. Next, we have Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman from the island of Themyscira. And it was I think Themyscira is an actual town, but it's from Greek mythology. And the island of the Amazons. And she's, I think, the first female superhero. She was very popular during World War II. One of the reasons I think she was popular during World War II was because there were so many women in the workforce, and women came to the forefront more than they had before. She is Diane Prince is her secret identity. There's currently a movie coming out, Wonder Woman 1984. Even though she's from this faraway place, she exists in contemporary society. She has superpowers. Of course, she has her invisible plane. She has her cuffs. She has her lasso. She is a very strong woman, and a movie was recently made about her, just like Batman. Very popular superhero among moviegoers. And I wanted to make this more diverse, and I tried to make it more diverse. Black Panther, which also had a very, very, very popular movie recently. Extremely popular. I think it surpassed records. And one of the interesting things about Black Panther is it came out in July of 1966. It actually predated the Black Panther Party, which came out, I think, in the late fall, early winter of 1966. And when I was a child, my father got me an edition of a comic book, and it was called Black Leopard. And because after Black Panther came out and then the Black Panther Party, it didn't want to be associated. They called it Black Leopard. I wish I had that copy now. I think it's probably worth a lot of money. But he was the first African American superhero. And his name is T'Challa. He doesn't have a secret identity. He's one without a secret identity. And he is from the African country of Wakanda, which is it's a sub-Saharan African nation, fictional sub-Saharan African nation, that has great technology, very advanced in technology, but still has the nature and the beauty of Africa, and has all the wildlife of Africa. So these are examples of the superhero descriptions I would give out to students. Now, this is one of the exercises I use a sheet. Here's the sheet. Superhero creation sheet. So after we talk about these superheroes, we'll analyze them. And what are some things that are characteristics of superheroes? They all have a superhero name, right? You got Batman, you got Superman, you got the Hulk, you got Iron Man, you got Wonder Woman, you got Black Panther. Superhero abilities. Now, most superheroes, as we said with Batman, although he has a lot of technology, he doesn't really have a distinct supernatural superhero ability. Secret identity. The secret identity. As we said earlier, Black Panther does not have a secret identity. But most superheroes do. So most superheroes have these two things. The setting of where does the superhero live? Now, often the setting is sort of fictional. Gotham City is actually Gotham. If you look in the dictionary, especially an older dictionary, it's the old slang name for New York, and it's based on New York. Themyscira is an actual place, but it's in the DC universe. It's kind of heavily fictionalized, and of course, Wakanda is a fictionalized place. They're all fictional places. Not all superheroes live in fictional places. Spider-Man is always in New York because of his big buildings and Spider-Man. It could have been a fictional place, but I think Spider-Man came around later when there were a lot more changes. And something they all have is the costume, okay? So let the students create. And they have these examples. And of course, give them time to help them. This is something generally that I make as an individual assignment. And let them come out with their superhero names. A lot of the times, when I use this in the Russian Kazakh camp, a lot of the times the setting would be someplace in Kazakhstan, someplace in Russia. Superhero abilities are usually the same. They usually fly. They usually swim. Secret identity is usually something closer to the student, who the student is. The superhero names can be, I even let them choose from the ethnic region that they come from if they want to put that in as part of their name. Or they might use part of their own national mythology that there are characters. And that can be very interesting. One time it was Christmas time, we started talking about superheroes. We talked about the Rakuchin Santa Claus, Deep Moros. We talked about a lot of times this exercise gets them to talk about their culture and opens you up to learning about their culture, which I find is very interesting for the teacher. When I close the lesson, generally the lesson will close with something like this. We will talk about superheroes that weren't so popular. Here's one. Here's Squirrel Girl. Okay, you have Batman, you have Batgirl, you have Spider-Man. What's wrong with Squirrel Girl? Well, it's kind of an interesting, somewhat bizarre costume. And think of Batman and think of bats and think of squirrels. Squirrels just are not a very threatening. I mean, they're kind of a cute rodent. It's hard to see them as anything scary. I found this with now this can change because I found they made a movie recently about Ant-Man. And Ant-Man to me was kind of a silly concept. But Squirrel Girl kind of rounds, her superpower is to round up the squirrels, and she can fight supervillains with the help of militant squirrels. I just see it, and it really did not go over very well. We have Doorman. Doorman. What does Doorman do? Well, Doorman. This is really a lame superhero. His ability is he can teleport a person anywhere they want to go in the world, only if it's into the next room. Kind of a limited superpower. This is not a good superpower. And as you can see, the costume is great. Not a great superpower. Finally, we have Dog Welder, and this is my favorite one because it is so bizarre. This is a man dressed in a silver suit who fights his villains by welding dogs to the villain's face. I don't know what anybody was thinking, and it looks like here that the dog has an X on his eye. I think the dog is dead. So this is a very strange one. Now, showing them the superheroes that failed also might show your students some weaknesses in their own superheroes. Okay? And now our presentation comes to a close. I hope you enjoyed it. Here are my references. I would like to point out that there is this book by Beach, Richard Beach, Teaching Media Literacy, is very good. It has lots of activities based around genre. It has lots of ideas. All of these people, all of these writers influenced me greatly. I would like to thank you all for listening to my lecture. I hope you enjoyed it. I would also like to thank Dr. Kent and Dr. Love for kind of enticing me to do this lecture. This is my first lecture, and I hope I will improve. Thank you very much. Have a great day.